This video will be about what limits the resolution of a TEM image. And in my other videos I already explained that the diffraction limit is not really an issue here because the wavelength of electrons is extremely small, 2 orders of magnitude smaller than the distance between two atoms. So we are not limited by the law of physics, but we are limited by engineering. The lenses that we are able to produce today are not perfect. Aberrations lead to electron beams that are not perfectly focused, which can blur the image. For spherical aberration, the focal length depends on the distance from where the actual beam hits the lens to the center of the lens. For chromatic aberration, the focal length depends on the wavelength of the electrons. Another issue is the small aperture angle of the lenses. Let's say a lens is only able to capture electrons with an angle of 10 degrees and everything in a wider range cannot be seen. I made up the number, but I hope you get the point. And this small aperture angle is actually the reason why these instruments are so big. And you see one example here in this picture. Now we talked about the limits, but what does that actually mean for the resolution? The diffraction limit is 2 picometers. You can calculate that. But we have other issues we talked about, like aberration and small aperture angles. Therefore, the resolution limit of common instruments is around 200 picometers. That is about twice the distance of 2 atoms, so you can't use them to actually see single atoms. But you can buy super expensive instruments with aberration corrected lenses, and their resolution limit is around 50 picometers, which is half the distance of 2 atoms. So with these instruments you can see single atoms in your picture. That was about what limits the resolution in transmission electron microscopy. But there's also something called projection limitation. Let's say your sample contains 2 particles that are oriented underneath each other. In the resulting picture, you would only see 1 particle. You don't get any depth information for transmission electron microscopy, although it is a method that analyzes the bulk and not the surface of your material. Last but not least, we have sample limitations. You should be able to name them when you watched my video about sample preparation. Therefore, I will not talk about it in this video. That's it about limitations in transmission electron microscopy. Thanks for watching and see you in my next video.